Hello, my dear students. Here I am going to start the details of this strategy for enhancement in food production, my dear. Dear, in this very topic, I was told you about the some strategies of enhancement in food production. You know what? Hope so you all know. Let's see that whatever we discussed in previous mind map, my dear, of this very topic. I was told you about the things that is important to all of you. That is first, that is what tissue culture, my dear. You know the tissue culture? Definitely you know that tissue culture is what? This is one is a technique to which to recover the healthy plant, my dear. What I'm saying? To recover what? Healthy plant from how? From diseased plant, my dear. So if the method is used to what? To recover the healthy plant from diseased plant, my dear, then it is known as what? Tissue culture. There are so many ways that we have to be what? The strategy you say that we increase the productivity of the food production as well as the what, my dear? In food productions, we developed the grains as well as in the animal husbandry also, my dear. Isn't it? Let's see that what we are all discuss here. As already previously I was told you that all the things about the biofortifications, about the you say the animal husbandry, each and everything I was told you in previous lectures, my dear. Let's see that what which one thing that we have to be completed in a previous mind map, my dear. Let's see here. This one is the thing. Hope so you getting these all things or not. Hope so you all get, and we check these all very things through. Yes, this one is very important here to note here that you know the term the mutation, my dear. Definitely you know the term mutation. That is what sudden change in a gene is called mutation, my dear. Okay, so let's see from NCERT that what I was told in previous classes, my dear. In previous classes I was told you about the breeding, my dear. Let's see. You know the interbreeding, my dear. Interbreeding, there are process in which reduce the fertility, even the productivity. Let's see if the thing is occurred whenever the productivity goes reduced, then what we do that time the interbreeding depressions, my dear. This one is the main cause. Whenever this become a problem, then we have to be selected what animals of breeding populations should be mated with unrelated superior animals of the same breed, my dear. Clear? So see so see what I'm going to tell you here. I'm going to tell you here about the thing that is important. Number one, that is what outbreeding devices. Hope so this outbreeding, outcrossing, crossbreeding, I was told. Definitely, my dear. See, now the next thing that is important to understand from here, that is what interspecific hybridization. Here the term interspecific and intraspecific. Getting? So see, I'm going to tell you here about the term that is what interspecific, my dear. See first, this one is the interspecific hybridization. See what I'm marking here. I'm marking here the interspecific hybridization. So see, in interspecific hybridization, it means what? In this very method, my dear, male and female animals of two different related species. See what I'm saying? Listen carefully. I'm saying here that whenever the male and female animals of two different related species, what I'm saying, two different related species, whenever they mated, then it is said to be what interspecific hybridization. Let's see. In some cases, the progeny may combine desirable features. What I'm saying, desirable features in some cases. It means that if I'm saying here the desirable features, my dear, of both parents may be of considerable economic value, my dear. See what I'm saying? If I'm saying here that whenever the male and the female animals of two different related species, my dear, whenever mated with each other, then in some cases, what I'm saying to you, in some cases, the progeny may be combined desirable features. What I'm saying to you, desirable features. So when I'm saying here the desirable features, it means what? So it means that the both parents may be considerable economic values, my dear. So that is see the mule. You know the mule? Yes, sir. Do you know the what cross leads to the production of the mule, sir? If the mule is to be crossed, then you know that it cannot be reproduced their young ones because they do not have their what specific gametes, my dear. Getting? So see, controlled breeding experiment. Here, they are controlled breeding experiments, my dear. In this controlled breeding experiments, what we know here, we carried out using artificial insemination. Hope so you know the term insemination, my dear. I was told in previous part of this very mind map, and I was also told you about in previous chapter, the name of the chapter, that is my dear, human reproduction. Yes, that is the steps of reproduction, insemination. That insemination means what? The transfer of the gametes from male to the inside vaginal tract, my dear, right? So insemination is simple. Insemination means what? Transfer of gametes. Okay. So now the thing. The semen is collected from male that is chosen as a parent and injected into the reproductive tract, my dear, of selected female by the breeder. Let's see what I'm saying. Listen carefully. I'm saying here that whenever I'm telling you here that controlled breeding experiment, in the controlled breeding experiment, in this very experiment, we do what? Artificial insemination, not natural insemination. I'm telling you. I'm saying here what? Artificial insemination. It means here the transfer of the gametes also, but artificially. What I'm saying to you? Artificially. Sir, how it possible? Let's see. The semen is collected from the male. Listen carefully. What I'm saying, the semen. You know the term semen, my dear. First, I'm going to write down here the term what? Semen. When we say semen, my dear, when, sir, I'm saying plasmal fluid. What I'm saying to you? Plasmal fluid, getting fluid along with the what is sperm, my dear, then it is known as what? Then it is known as what? Semen. Getting my point? Yes, sir. That is the fluid which is secreted from, you know, the seminal vesicles, prostate glands, Copper's gland. They all are known as what? Plasmal fluid along with the sperm. Then it is known as what? Semen. So see what I'm saying here. I'm saying here that in male and female of two different species are mated. Here, see. So the semen is collected from the male and it chosen a parent that is injected into the reproductive tract of the selected female by the breeder. Suppose we select the male and select the female also. So the semen is collected from the male, chosen as a parent, and injected where? Injected to the reproductive tract of the selected female, my dear. So now see what happened. Let's see. So the semen may be used immediately. What I'm saying to you, the semen used what? Immediately, or can be frozen, used to at a later date. It also be transported in a frozen form of where the female is housed. So in this way, the desirable matting are carried. It means what? Here the desirable matting is to carried, and this artificial insemination help us overcome several problems of normal matting. Suppose if the normal matting is be occurred, then the progeny will not form. Then what we do? We do artificial insemination in that cases. Yes or no? So when we practices this artificial insemination, then we get what? Then we get a desired characters, my dear. Whatever we need the characters of the progeny, that very characters we get from there. Yes or no? So but how we get the desired characters, my dear? We get the desired characters with the help of what? The artificial insemination, my dear. Okay. Now see, often we know that the success rate of crossing mature male and female animal is fairly low, my dear. Fairly what? Low. Even though the artificial successful product of hybrid, other means are also used. So what we do at that time, whenever the crossing of male and the female uh, rate, that is whenever the fertility rate become the low, then what we do? Then we do at that time what? Artificial insemination, artificial methods, my dear. So see, if I'm saying here that the multiple evolution ovary transfer technology, see here the technology is here. The name of the technology is what? MOET, M-O-E-T, MOET, my dear. That is multiple evolution embryo transfer technology. Multiple evolution is what? So many times of evolution will be take place. Embryo transfer technology, we transfer the embryo. It's one such a program for herd improvement. So in this very method, what we do, a cow is administered hormone with FSH. You know the FSH, that is a follicular stimulating hormone, to induce the follicular maturation and super ovulation. Instead, what, my dear? Instead of one egg, I am saying. What is saying? Instead of what? One egg, which they normally yield per cycle. Which they normally yield what? Per cycle. They produce how many eggs? 6 to 8 eggs. And that time the animal is either mated with the elite bull or the artificially inseminated. This one is your choice, that either you to mate with the elite bull or either you to artificially inseminate. So if the artificially seminate, the fertilized egg having how much cell stage there at that time? 8 to 32 cell stages are recovered non-surgically. What is saying? Recovered how? Non-surgically, and transferred into surrogate mothers, that the mothers become to be a pregnant, and the genetic mother is available for another round of super ovulation. And this technology has been demonstrated for cattle, sheep, rabbit, buffaloes, mare, etc. And in such cases, what we observe? We observe that high milk yield breeding, my dear. High milk yielding breeds of female of high quality. Getting my point? Yes. So see here, the breed successful to increase herd size in short time, my dear. Getting this point? Getting this point? So this one is very important to understand, that if the normal fertilizing not gives result, then what we do at that time? Then at that time we do what? Artificial insemination, my dear. Okay, thing is clear? So if thing is clear, then tell me, answer in comment also, my dear. Now see what I'm going to do here. Next thing that is important to understand, that is what? Beekeeping. See what I'm saying to you, beekeeping, my dear. So if I'm saying here the term, that is what? A beekeeping, it means what? We all know that rearing of bees is known as what? Apiculture. Correct? Apiculture. So apiculture is the what? Maintenance of hives, my dear. What I'm saying? Maintenance of hives. Of maintenance of hives means what? That is what? Honeybees. What I'm saying? Honeybees. You know that whenever we beekeepings or apiculture is the maintenance of hives or honeybees, my dear, for the production of what? Honey. What I'm saying to you? Production of what? Honey, my dear. See, this is very important to understand here, that whenever I'm saying that the beekeeping, it means what I'm saying here, the apiculture. You know the apiculture, rearing of honey bee, my dear. And you know that why we rearing the honey bee? Yes, sir, we know. The rearing of honey bee, it means that what? The maintenance of hives for honey bee for what? The production of honey. So simple. Now, the next thing that is very important to understand here, that sir, is old cottage industries. You know, is old cottage industry is a such an industry where the honey is a food of a high nutritive value. You know that honey is such a food which contains what? High nutritive value. And this high nutritive value, what are used in indigenous system of medicine, my dear. You know, there are so many medicines can also be prepared with the help of this very honey. So honeybee also produces how? Bee wax, and this will find many use in industry also, such as in the preparation of cosmetics, such also used in the policies of various kinds, my dear. Increase the demand of honey has led to the large scale beekeeping practices, my dear. What I'm saying here, beekeeping practices. So if we want to increase the demand of honey, then we should have to be do a practices in a large scale to keep the beekeeping practices, my dear. So see what I'm saying here, the main motive and intention of this one chapter to be see that how we enhance the food production, my dear. So in a food production, there are so many process, so many ways that we should have to be increase the what? The food productions. Here one is that is the beekeeping also practices, my dear, known as apiculture. You also know this apicultures what give us a large amount of what? Honey. That is also, you know, that increase the demand of honey lead to the large scale beekeeping practices. Now it is important to understand here that the beekeeping can be practiced in any area where there are sufficient bee pastures of some wild shrubs. You know that where we keep the bee. So we keep the bee on that very area where some pastures land, some wild shrubs, some fruit orchards, my dear. You know the fruit orchards, the area which is covered with the help of what? Fruits, my dear, and cultivated crops. So this one area is fruitful for the beekeeping. Clear? So there are several species of honeybees which can be reared. There are so many different species of honeybee that can be reared, and for main purpose is to what? To increase the food production in honey, my dear. So see what the main common species, my dear, in a honey. You say Apis indica. Mark there the name Apis indica. This one is a common species of bee, which is rarely used in, which is mainly used in what for growing the what bees, my dear, for the main to fulfill the demand of what honey, my dear. See, beehives can be kept in one's courtyard or in veranda of house, even of the roof. Beekeeping is not a labor intensive, my dear. So this one is important. So see, beekeeping through a relatively easy does require some specialized knowledge. You know that there are several organizations that teach that how we keep the bee, my dear. See here the following points that is very important to understand here for the successful beekeeping. So if you want to successful practices of beekeeping, there are some points that is very important to understand here. Let's see one by one because it may be asked in your board examination or it may ask some questions in NEET also. See what we should have to be know in this one point. See here the points that is very important to understand here that how successful beekeeping. One is what knowledge of nature and habits of bees. You know that what the nature of bees, what the habits of bees. Then this one is the first requirement. Second thing that is what selection of what suitable location. If I want to locate the suitable location where we should have to be keep the beehives, this one is very important to understand because we are not kept anywhere. Third one is that is catching and hiving of swarms. Here we have idea to be how to catch the bees or group of bees. Management of beehives during different seasons. We know that in different seasons they have performing different requirements. So that's a seasons we should must have to be know about that whenever we want to beekeeping. Fifth one is what handling and collection of honey and bee wax. Yes. So bees are the pollinator. You know that the pollinator? Yes, sir. The agent which transfer the pollen grains from anther to the stigma, my dear. In the meanwhile, this transfer of this pollen grain to enter the stigma, they results to what pollination and finally results what fertilization, my dear. Right? So handling and collection of the honey of bee wax, that is very important to understand. Let's see how many crops species in the chapter so second chapter that is given such as sunflower, brassica, apple, pear. These all are the places keeping beehives in a crop field during the flowering period, my dear. What I'm saying here, during the flowering period, increase pollination. What I'm saying, increase pollination efficiency. So if we want to increase the amount of honey during the production of beekeeping, during the way of beekeeping, during the practices of beekeeping, so if you want to increase the rate of what rate of honey, then there increase in the what flowering period, increase in the pollination, which improves the yield beneficial both from the point of view of crop yield and honey yield, my dear. This one is very important, very important, my dear. Right? So this one is very important. Now see. Next one thing that is important, let's see, that is what fisheries, my dear. What I'm saying to you, fisheries I'm saying. Fisheries means what? Fisheries means that the industry to devote to catching fish, my dear. You see here that the processing or selling of fish, shellfish or other aquatic animals, my dear. A large number of population is dependent on fish. We know that most of the people depend on what? Fisheries, my dear. So if fish products and other aquatic animals such as prawn, crab, lobster, edible oyster, these all are used as a food. Getting what I'm saying? These all fishes are used as a what? Fish products is used as a what? Food. So see, these all fishes, some are found in the fresh water, some are found in the marine water. If I'm saying either some fishes found in the fresh water, just like very common, you know that katla fish, rohu fish, common carp. These all are what? These all are the what fishes which is basically found where in a fresh water. Clear? Now other one fishes that is my dear hilsa, sardines, mackerel, pomfrets. These commonly eaten in your area also. Some these fishes which is what important place in Indian economy. You know the fisheries plays an important place in Indian economy also. Let's see, it provide the income and employment to millions of fishermen and farmers. You know why? Why I'm saying this one thing, because large production of fishes and their fish products which give the economic value to of our Indian economy, my dear. So it provides income and employment also to millions of the fishermen and farmers. So particularly in the coastal states, what I'm saying here, particularly which one states? Coastal states. for many it is the source of their livelihood. No, it is the what? Only the source of their livelihood. It means that the person do fisheries, then his livelihood will be performed, otherwise not. In order to meet the increasing demands from the fisheries, we should use what? Different techniques. You know the techniques that have been employed to increase the production? Yes, just take instances, just take example here. Through aquaculture, you know the meaning of aquaculture and pisciculture? Yes sir. That means that we have able to increase the production of aquatic plants and animals. So if I'm saying here that to increase the production of aquatic plants and animals, it means that I'm saying here we are going to increase the production of both freshwater and marine media. So let's see, find out the differences between this pisciculture and aquaculture, my dear. So what the difference of this pisciculture and aquaculture? You know that if I'm saying here that the rearing of the fish is known as what? Pisciculture, my dear. And if I'm saying here that the aquaculture, the place where the fish is grown, known as what? Aquaculture. So this led to the development of what? And flourishing what? Fishery industry, and which brought a lot of income to the farmers in a particular and country in general. So we can now take this one, what? Blue revolution. And this blue revolution what implanted along with the same lines, that is what? A green revolution. So see here the two revolution I'm saying here, one is blue revolution, second one thing is green revolution. Why I'm saying the blue revolution? Because the fisheries only catches the fishes from the where? From the water, and that very increase the rate of development of economy. Then it is said to be what? Not only for in the economy, but particular also, but the farmers in particular also, and the country as well. So see that increase in the demand or increase in the rate of productions leads to be the what? Forming of blue revolution. And in the same way, when I'm saying that when increase a tremendous amount of the word pulses, or you say the word the crops, or you say the everything that is cereals, you say basically, then it is said to be what? A green revolution, my dear, right? So this one is very important to understand. Clear? Now next thing that is important to understand here, that what? Plant breeding. What I'm saying here, dear? Plant breeding. You know what the meaning of plant breeding, my dear? In plant breeding, it means that here the traditional farming. What I'm saying to you, traditional farming. You know the traditional farming? If you know, then give me answer in comment. See, if I'm saying you that traditional farming can only yield a limited biomass, you know, limited biomass. So if a limited biomass as a food for humans and animals, so see in that time the better management practices is also required, and increase in the what? Acreage can increase yield, my dear, but only to a limited extent, not in a great extent. That is a limited extent. So see, what I'm saying here that plant breeding as a technology has helped to increase yields to a very large extent, my dear. You know how? Who in India has not heard of Green Revolution? Everyone heard the Green Revolution, which was responsible for our country to not merely meet the national requirement in food production, but also helped us even to export it also. Not only for the beneficial for the India's populations or India's economy, but it also fulfill or to help the people in worldwide nation also, my dear. So see, if I'm saying here that this green revolution was dependent to a large extent on plant breeding technique, you know, if I'm saying here that the green revolution was dependent to whom? To a large extent on plant breeding technique. And this plant breeding technique for the development of high yielding and disease resistant varieties, my dear. What I'm saying, if I'm saying here that the development of high yielding varieties of crops, then it means that very crops that have got disease resistant varieties. And this disease resistant varieties, my dear, then it is known as what? Hybrid crops, my dear. Either it is wheat, rice, maize, etc. Correct? Now, I'm going to move ahead here that what the thing is written. What is plant breeding? If anybody can ask you the term, what do you mean by plant breeding? Then what you say? See, let's see first. If I'm saying here that the term plant breeding, it means that the plant breeding is the what? A purposeful manipulation of plant species. See what I'm saying? Plant breeding is the purposeful manipulation of plant species in order to create desired plant types. What I'm saying? Desired plant types. and that are better suited for cultivation. What I'm saying, better suited for cultivation, and this better suited for cultivations give better yields and are what, disease resistant. What I'm saying, disease resistant, my dear. See, one thing is important to understand here, that what is plant breeding. See, if I'm saying here that the plant breeding, that is a purposeful manipulation of plant species. You know the purposeful manipulation of plant species? Yes sir, definitely. It means that there is a better suited for cultivation. If I'm saying here that a better suited for cultivation, then there is a requirement of what, better yields, and requirement of what, disease resistant crops. Yes or no? So see, if we require these all very things, then here the conventional plant breeding has been practiced, and this conventional plant breeding practice, for how, for thousands of years. What I'm saying, thousands of years, my dear. So since the beginning of human cultivation, what I'm saying, human cultivation, we recorded evidence of plant breeding. You know what the dates back? That is 9,000 to 11,000 years ago, my dear. See, what I'm saying here. I'm saying here that whenever I'm talking about the conventional plant breeding, this conventional plant breeding has been practices for thousands of years. Getting my point? So many, like in the present day, crops are the result of the domestication in ancient times. Many times, many present day crops are the result of what? Domestication in ancient times. Today, all our major food crops, see, see what I'm saying? All our major food crops are derived from domesticated varieties. What I'm saying? Domesticated varieties. It means that the varieties which is what, found in a domesticated area or domesticated lands. So here, the major food crops are derived from domesticated varieties. This classical plant breeding involves in what? What? Involves crossing or hybridization of pure lines, my dear. So followed by the artificial selection, yes, definitely, sir, which want to produce plants with a desirable trait of higher yields. So if I want to what, grow a desirable traits or higher yields, then we get a nutrition and a what, resistant to diseases, my dear. What I'm saying? Resistant to diseases. So it means that resistant to diseases, it means that whenever we want to grow a high yielding varieties crops, then it means that the resultant, when we to be need air, then must be what, desirable traits of higher yields. With the advancement in genetics, my dear, in molecular biology and tissue culture, plant breeding is now increasingly being carried out by using molecular genetic tools, my dear. What I'm saying here? Molecular genetic tools. So this one, molecular genetic tools, need to the development of the word cross, my dear. Is think this one clear? Now, here, this is very important to understand that. See that what? If we were to list the traits or characters. See, if I'm saying here that if we want to make the list of the traits or characters that the breeders have tried to incorporate into crop plants. Getting 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 So the breeders have tried to incorporate the what, crop plant. You know how? The first we would list would be increased crop yield. You know that this improved quality must be occurred, my dear. So how? See, increased tolerance to environmental stress, that is what, salinity, extreme temperature, drought, these all are the things which is resistance to pathogens, my dear. See what I'm saying? Increased tolerance to what, environmental stress. If I'm saying that increased tolerance of environmental stress, means you know what? It means that salinity, extreme temperature, drought, these all things. Viruses, fungi, bacteria, and increased tolerance to insect pest would be our list too. If all these things we have, then we to get what, improved quality of crops. Otherwise, not this one is thing. Getting? Getting, my dear? Now see. Now see, plant breeding programs. These plant breeding programs are carried out in a systematic way. Getting my point? If I want to plant breeding programs, then how we grow, how we carried out? We carried out in a systematic way, my dear. So worldwide, in a government, institutional, and commercial companies, we know that the many steps in breeding a new genetic variety of crops. Now the thing is important to understand here, sir, how it be possible. Let's check one thing that is important in the point wise collection of variability first. Then afterward, evaluation of selection of parents. Yes, this one is important. Third one is what? Cross hybridization among the selected parents, my dear. This one is the point. And fourth one is what? Selection and testing of superior recombinants, my dear. Fifth one is what? Testing, the release, and commercialization of new cultivars, my dear. Is that clear? Is that clear? See here. These all are the important points to understand that how plant breeding programs can carried out, my dear. So let's see one by one that what the thing is important here. Let's see the first thing, that is what? Collecting of variability. If we want to increase the plant breeding, then we should must have to be collect the genetic variability. Genetic variability, it means that the root of any breeding program is what? Genetic variability. Getting? In many crops, we know that the pre-existing genetic variability is available. Just like take here relatives of the crops. See, collection and preservation. What I'm saying here? Collection and preservations of all different wild varieties, species, and relatives of the cultivated species, which is followed by what? Followed by their evaluation for their characteristics. And this evaluation for their characteristics is a pure requisite for the effective exploitations of natural gene available in the population. So see, if I'm saying here that if we want to collect a variability of the gene, then what we should have to do here, we should have to be what? Prerequisite for effective exploitation of natural gene. Getting? So the entire collection of either plant seeds having all the diverse allele of all gene. You know the allele, my dear? Yes, sir. That is the alternative form of gene which is located on a homologous pair of chromosome. Getting? This allele in a gene, allele in a for all gene, my dear, given crops is called germ plas collection. What I'm saying here? Germ plas collection. So when I'm saying the germ plas collection, when we say the germ plas collection, we say the germ plas collection in that time whenever the entire collection of either plant or the seeds having all the diverse allele, my dear. What I'm saying to you? Diverse allele, and this diverse allele for all gene in a given crop is known as what? Germ plas collection. Correct? This one is the first method. Now, my dear, the second one method that is important here, that is what? See what I'm saying here. Second one is that is evaluation and selection of parents. Now see, when I'm saying that evaluation and selection of parents, see, I'm saying the germ plas is evaluated. What I'm saying? Germ plas is what? Evaluated so as to identify plants with a desirable combination of characters. So if I'm saying here that desirable characters, combination of the characters, so this one is the word, the selected plants. What I'm saying? Selected plant. These selected plants are multiplied and used in the process of what I am saying, what? Hybridization, my dear. What I'm saying to you? Hybridization. And you know that when we get the hybridization, my dear, we get the hybridization in the form of what? The process which is responsible for what? Responsible for what? Evaluated to identify the what? Higher grading plants, higher yielding variety of plants, and this pure lands created wherever desirable and possibilities be there. So see, before hybridization, there is something that is important to understand, that sir, when we the pure hybrid plants, when we cross the high yielding varieties, plants crosses with the lower yielding varieties, whenever we cross over them, then we get a what? We get a high yielding variety crops. So see, this one is the method, that is cross hybridization among the selected parents. What I'm saying here? Cross hybridization. So if I'm saying here the cross hybridization among the selected parents, let's see how this one thing is occurred. See, if I'm saying that the desired characters, you know the desired character, the character which is need, that character is called desired character. So whatever the character we need, that character is called desired characters, have very often to combine from two different plants. And if I'm saying here that if the two different plants, whenever the genetically combined with each others, then the progeny, you say, a disease resistant, my dear. What I'm saying, disease resistant from another parent. Yes, this one is possible, but this one is possible only when the cross hybridization is occurred, my dear. So this is a possible during when cross hybridizing the two parents to produce a what, a hybrid. Is a very time consuming and a tedious process is the pollen grains, you see. When I'm saying that the transfer of the pollen grains from anther to stigma is known as pollination, this one, right? Now see, I'm saying here that the pollen grains from the desirable plants, suppose chosen as a male parents, yes, definitely, have to be collected and placed on where the stigma. Hope so you're not getting, just I'm going to make a diagram, then this one is easy to understand. See here, see this one I'm making what? A stigma, this one is a style, and this one is what? Ovary. Okay, see, this one is what? A stigma, this one is what, my dear? Style, and this one is what? Ovary. Getting? See, if I'm saying here that this one is stigma, style, and ovary, and see, suppose if I'm checking this one, if I'm taking this one, my dear, let see, this one is the pollen grains, this one is the pollen grains that is contained inside the anther, that is a male gametophyte. You see, this one is the what? This one is the anther, and this one is what? Filament, you know, together known as androecium, right? See what I'm saying here, that here the anther, whenever the transfer, and this anther is what? Desired characters, we just select this one anther from what? Desired plants, that very plant that is what? Good in natures. Yes. So suppose if I'm taking this one anther and transfer this anther over where the stigma. So see what I'm saying here. I'm saying here that whenever I'm transferring the pollen grains from anther to where the stigma, then then the pollen grains from the desirable plants. What I'm saying, desirable plants chosen as a male parent have to be transported where? Have to be transplanted where? No, female parents, my dear. See, it is not necessary that the hybrids do combine the desirable characters. Yes, usually only one in few hundred to a thousands crosses shows the desirable combination. There is not a possible to get only the desirable. There is the whenever the thousands of this one cross hybridization will occur, then we get a desirable combination. Otherwise, not. Right? So this one is the thing. Now, next thing that is important, that is selection and testing of superior recombinants. How we check that the testing of this one is a superior recombinants? Here are some steps that consist of selecting among the progeny of hybrids, my dear. See, those plants that have a desired character combination. What I'm saying, desired character combination. So see what I'm saying here, that if I'm saying here that the desired character combination, this desired character combination is responsible to collect the which one, collect the what, collect the desired ones, my dear. And thus the selection process is a crucial to the success of breeding, my dear. And now see the steps and plant that are superior to the both of the parents, and you know that very often more than one superior progeny plant may become available, my dear. So these are self-pollinated for several generations till they reach state uniformity, my dear, homozygosity, so that the characters will not segregate in the progeny, my dear. What I'm saying, the characters will not segregate. So suppose if the characters will not segregate in the progeny, then 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 we get a superior recombinants, no, my dear. So if we segregate this one, what I'm saying, the segregation of their gene, then the what, then after the fusion of the gametes will take place. Without segregation not take place, my dear. And see several generations till they reach the state of uniformity, that is homozygosity. Correct? Now last one that is important to understand here, that is what? Testing release and commercialization of new cultivars. See, here if I'm saying that a newly selected lines that is evaluated for their yield and other agronomic traits of quality, my dear, then it is said to be disease resistance. What I'm saying? Disease resistance. And this evaluation is done by growing these in a research field and recording their performance under the ideal fertilizers applications, my dear. So see, if I'm saying here that the ideal fertilizer application, irrigation and other crop management practices, then we what get, my dear, what materials in the farm, then we get their what a fruitful result of the crops, my dear. So the material is evaluated in combination with the best available local crop cultivator, and this one check for the references of cultivator, my dear. So see, we all know that India's is mainly an agricultural country. We know it means that total India's population, that is what 70% of India's population totally based on agriculture. So that's why I'm saying here that India is what agro best country. What I'm saying, listen carefully. What I'm saying here, India is what agro best country. Why I'm saying this one thing? Because mostly the India's population based on agriculture. So the agriculture accounts for approximately, you know how much percent? Sir, 33% of India's GDP and employs nearly how much? 62% of the population. This one is very important line, my dear, that we must keep in mind. You know what? See, India is mainly what agriculture country. Yes, sir. Right. Second thing that is important to understand, agriculture accounts for approximately how much percent? 33% of India's GDP, right? And employs nearly how much percent? 62% of the population, my dear, right? So see, after India's independence, see what the thing is changed here. After India's independence, one of the main challenges, you know what, facing the country was that producing enough food for the increasing population. You know that day by day population goes increases, but the scarcity of the food is here. So the main challenges for the people is to what? To increase the productions of the food, my dear. So see, that time as only we see that the limited lands, yes sir, that is for cultivation, but the population goes increasingly day by day. So India has to strive to increase yield per unit area for existing farmland. What I'm saying, India has a strive to increase yield per unit area from existing farmland. So this one is a very challenging task to the peoples to the how this one can be possible. See, if I'm saying that this development of the several high yielding varieties of wheat and rice in mid 1960s, what I'm saying, mid 1960s, you know the meaning of 1960s, you know the meaning of this 1960s, or anyone say 1950s, 1940s, then what do you mean there? It means that 10 tens, it means that 1960 to 1969, my dear, 10 years, 10 years I'm saying. If I'm saying that 1950s, what does it mean? It means that 1950 to 1959, I'm saying 10 years. Getting this point? As a result of various plants breeding techniques led to the dramatic increase in food production in our country. See, often we see the word green revolution. Let's see here. So this one is the thing. Clear? Clear? Some Indian hybrid crops, that is maize, wheat, garden peas. Getting? So these all are the things. So see, about the wheat and rice, you know that during the period 1960 to 200, here the wheat production increased from how? This one is the data. 11 million ton to 75 million ton, while the rice production went from 35 million ton to how much? 89.5 million tons, my dear. Is that clear what I'm saying? I'm saying here that during the period of 1962 what 2000, 1962 what 2000, the wheat production increased from how much? 11 million tons to how much? 75 million tons. So huge. While rice production went from 35 million tons to 89.5 million in the mid period during from 1960 to 2000, my dear. This one is the huge increase in the tremendous increase of the food, my dear. So this was due to the development of semi-dwarf varieties of wheat and rice. This was due to what? Development of semi-dwarf varieties of which one? Wheat as well as rice. So, Nobel laureate Norman E. Borlaug, a scientist, an international center for wheat and maize improved in Mexico, my dear, developed semi-dwarf wheat. In 1963, several varieties such as what? Sonalika, Kalyan Sona, these all are what? High yielding and disease resistant, my dear. See, these all are the things. Semi-dwarf rices varieties, my dear. Getting? IR8 development developed at International Research Rice Research Institute, IRRI. See, this one is also very important. If anybody can ask you about the full form of IRRI, then what you say? Sir, this one is what? Developed at International Research Institute. Where it is? It is in Philippines. And what? Tisang native first from Taiwan. The derivatives from the introduced in 1966. These all are the things. Which is very important. Getting? So in this way we should have to be study. Okay. In this way we should have to be learned, and this way we have to be focused. Now, when we go in details of this very chapter, then we move ahead. Hope so this thing is clear to all of you. So thank you for watching. Thank you. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.